Well, here I am in the bowels of the Washington, D.C. Convention Center at the Washington Area New Car Dealers Association annual car show. And I think that perhaps the light that is glinting off this hood emblem is preventing the focus from operating properly, but I wanted to kind of zoom in on the emblem. Too bad it's not in focus, but so that you all can see what it is that I'm working on here. Whoops, let's go the other way. And now we get a little bit better shot of a 1953 Cadillac Eldorado, which is here at the auto show. This belongs to a member of the Potomac Region Cadillac LaSalle Club, and this is a beautiful car. They only made 532 of them, and we happen to have two of them here at the show because we're trying to recreate to a certain extent the General Motors Motorama of 1953. So we have a 53 Eldorado here that is in the process of being restored. We have a 53 Buick Skylark. Further down the line we have a 54 Corvette. We had a 53 lined up, but they had to bail at the last minute. And then the blue convertible off in the distance, that's also another 53 Eldorado. We did have somebody who was going to volunteer to bring an Oldsmobile Fiesta here, which was the show car for Oldsmobile in 1953, but he's 88 years old and lives in Florida, and we had some bad weather previously, so we didn't want to burden him with having to drive up from Florida, but he may be here for our May show on the 5th of May, and he may bring that Oldsmobile Fiesta because we're going to do the Motorama as a on a slightly bigger scale at our show on the 5th of May. So the GM Motorama was responsible for showcasing not only the new model year's cars, but concept cars and unique models like the 53 Eldorado and the 53 Buick Skylark. What makes this car unique is some unique sheet metal on the car, specifically right here at the belt line where we have a dip in the contour of the metal, and that made the sheet metal in this area unique for the Cadillac Eldorado. This was the most expensive car you could buy in the United States other than a Rolls-Royce in 1953. Again, this car has been restored and it is really a lovely car. The windshield on the 53 Eldorado was also unique. Again, they made only 532 of these. A couple hundred of them may be surviving. We don't have a complete registry, but a very rare car indeed. And the next car in line is the 1953 Buick Skylark. This is a much sportier looking car. As you can see, the rear deck is short. The rear wheel well is fully open. It has the same unique sheet metal where we have the dip in the belt line contour and the long hood. This is a V8 engine in this automobile as opposed to the previous year's Buicks, which were straight 8-cylinder engines. So again, looking at the profile of this car, you see the long hood, the short rear deck, the fully open wheel well in the rear, as opposed to the Eldorado, which also has a long hood, but it has a much longer rear deck than the Buick, and it has the fender skirts here covering up the wheel well opening. So again, both of these cars have been restored, and the colors are quite elegant, I think, even if they are white. The Eldorado, by the way, this particular model, not this particular car, but this particular model was used by Dwight Eisenhower for his inaugural parade in January of 1953. So again, we did have a 53 Corvette lined up, but they had to bail at the last minute with some technical difficulties, so we were able to find another club member who just happened to have a 54 Corvette. And this 54 Corvette is virtually identical to the 53. There were 353 Corvettes made, and they were all available in polo white. Was the only color that you could get a 53 Corvette in. They made more of them in 54, and by 55, when they dropped a V8 engine in the Corvette, the rest is history. And over here we have a 53 Eldorado, like the first Eldorado that we saw a moment ago. And this car is not restored. This car is original, except for the top. So the paint that you are looking at on this car is 71 years old. It's the paint that came from the factory. It's the again, it's the identical model. It's a different color than the one further down the line, but again, you can see the long rear deck, the fender skirts, and the not too shy use of chrome. Although this is 53, General Motors went bonkers in 1958 with chrome, and the epitome of that would have been the 1958 Buick Limited with God knows how many acres of chrome. But here in 53, well, I say it's not an immodest or not a modest use of chrome. It's not over-the-top use of chrome. So that's the 53 Eldorado. All of them, all 532, two-door convertibles. And that's what made the Eldorado an interesting and expensive car. Power windows, power seat, a couple of other options available as the technology of 1953 allowed. The 53 Corvette came with a 6-cylinder engine with a 2-speed automatic power glide transmission. This particular 54 example happens to have a later model V8 dropped into it and a 4-speed transmission. So this car doesn't weigh much. It's an all fiberglass body, even in 1953, as is the 2024 8th generation Corvette, the fiberglass body throughout the history of the Corvette. So again, the General Motors Motorama was to highlight the new car models, and to the lower left of the M here, you can see that this is a 4-door Chevrolet sedan. Nothing fancy about it. It's got the pillar between the driver's door and the passenger's door. What I like about the car is pink with a white top. I think that's pretty cool. And this particular photo that we've reproduced with this banner, this was taken at the Waldorf Astoria in New York in 1953, and they had an orchestra and a chorus and dancing girls, and it was really quite the production. But then again, in 1953, General Motors was the world's largest industrial corporation. It could do whatever it wanted to do because it had the money to do so. So it was just a kind of a neat thing that they did. They don't do it anymore. And we're here at the Washington, D.C. Convention Center for the Washington Area Automobile Dealers Association Annual Car Show. It's unfortunate that not all automobile manufacturers are here. In fact, Cadillac is not here, Lincoln is not here, Mercedes is not here, BMW is not here. And why is that? Well, it's economics. So, but when you look at a car like this, you're glad you came to the show, because this is a beautiful automobile here, as is the Buick. I like the Buick. I like my Cadillac, which is a 67, but the Eldorado is a magnificent car, and when the owner of this one is finished with the car, it'll be a beauty. He's got more, believe it or not, he's got more work to do on this. So that's it from the Washington, D.C. Auto Show, and we will see you sometime in the future.